Two Kittens presents the Broken Bones Horror Theatre. In life, we all have our cross to bear. When all paths lead to the same destination, who are we to judge how others carry it? Think again while you listen to Via Dolorosa.
Wake up! Emmanuel's sister puts a hand on his shoulder. She gives him a shake. Emmanuel, wake up! Emmanuel stirs. He slips his hand under his glasses and pinches at his nose. He pushes them to the top of his head and rubs his eyes. The hard plastic chair he's been sitting on for the last week is uncomfortable and has hurt his back. He blinks a few times and sits up straight. Returning his glasses to his face, he looks at his sister. She's gone. His sister holds out her hand. Emmanuel takes it and stands. They both stand in silence for a moment. When did she go? I've been here all week. I was just shutting my eyes for an hour. They said she was comfortable. She was, Emmanuel. They said that sometimes people wait to be alone before they pass. It's quite common. But I promised her I'd be there until the end. You were. No one could have done more. Emmanuel feels his head. The headache he's been nursing for the last week suddenly intensifies. He jams a knuckle into his temple. Do you want to see her for the last time? He nods. Emmanuel pushes open the door to the side ward where his mother's body lies. He stands at the foot of the bed. His mother looks much younger now the pain has gone. Her furrowed brow and wrinkles have fallen away. She seems almost serene. She looks better in death than she did when she was alive, he says to no one. Walking to the side of the bed, he takes her hand. It is cold and stiff. Goodbye, Mother. He plants a child's kiss on her forehead, arranges the blankets about her, turns and leaves the room. 10 days later, his sister is getting a drink for an elderly relative they haven't seen in years. There are a lot of people they haven't seen for a long while who've turned up for her funeral. Emmanuel and his sister are holding the wake at the local pub their mother hated. I'm sorry about your mum, another relative says. Are you? Emmanuel snaps back. Are you? Are any of you? When is the last time you bothered with her? She's been ill for years. Not a single one of you came to visit. Not one. Emmanuel. His sister comes over to him and puts her arm around him. She ushers him out of the room and into a corridor. Emmanuel leans against the wall and crushes a knuckle into the side of his head. Have you stopped taking your medicine? You know how this goes once you stop taking it. I don't need it anymore. I only took it because Mum made me, and now she's gone. I don't need it. Emmanuel, you do need it. Do you remember how you were before the medication? You weren't well. Remember the hospital? Remember how many times you were in the hospital? Emmanuel did remember, but he had it all worked out this time. I won't go back there. No, you won't if you take your medicine. Now, where is it? In my drawer. Right, when this is over, we're going home, and you're taking it. Emmanuel looks at his sister and nods. He knows he'll never take it again. He hates the way it makes him feel, muzzy, like he's standing behind a net curtain. When he was on the medication, it flattened his life out, stacking moments like a pack of unshuffled playing cards. He only feels present when he's free of drugs. His brain thickens and begins to tightly fill the inside of his skull. He grips the back of his neck. He just needs to get through this afternoon, and then everyone will leave and he can get back to normal. His sister guides him back to the wake. People are leaving now. They've all heard about Emmanuel's condition. After his outburst, they don't want to be around to witness what comes next. Besides, he's right about his mother. No one had come to see her in life, mainly because she was a cruel and sadistic woman. Her sharp tongue and quick temper were enough to keep most people at bay. They also felt Emmanuel's strangeness, and it made them feel uncomfortable. His sister is the only one of his family most people like. She is the very definition of forbearance. Yet she had had the good sense to get away while she was still young enough to have an independent life of her own. Her occasional forays to see her brother and mother were swift, by design. She persevered for years, taking the children with her so they could see their grandmother and uncle, but she stopped putting the children through the ordeal after the old woman was so needlessly vile to her daughter over the way she ate a sandwich of all things, that she made the daughter cry all the way home. Following that incident, she vowed never to take them again. Emmanuel sits on an uncomfortable plastic chair in the back room of the pub. He feels the base of his spine. It's not much better than it had been 10 days ago. He looks at the half-eaten beige platters. He's not eaten a thing, and he isn't going to. The last person to leave the wake is saying goodbye to his sister. She leaves the room with them. Momentarily, Emmanuel sits alone. He can hear the sounds of the bar next door. There's another entrance just behind him that leads into the public bar. A figure bursts through it. "All right, Manny." It's his brother. "Not in the nut house yet, then? I thought they'd have you in there like a shot after the old girl cocked it. Or have you got a weekend pass?" Emmanuel grits his teeth at the sound of his brother's tobacco voice. Being older than him, his brother knows how to get under his skin. The pain in his head surges at his arrival. "What are you doing here?" "My mum too, Mankey. I thought I'd see if the old bag had anything left for me. I'm staying with you tonight. Is that okay?" It isn't. Mankey, the juvenile taunt the fat slob always calls him. The prick. His sister reappears. "Fuck me, the toxic apony's finally turned up. I thought you might make an appearance. Come for the money, have you?" "That's a nice way to greet your big brother. I can see time hasn't mellowed you any, sis. You sound more like the old bag every day." "There's nothing for you here, so why don't you fuck off back to the cesspit you crawled out of?" Emmanuel puts his hands to his ears. He squeezes as hard as he can, and their noise still manages to penetrate his skull. "Look, you're upsetting Emmanuel." "How the fuck can you tell? It's a nut job." He approaches Emmanuel. "You're a fucking nut job, ain't you, Mankey?" He grabs Emmanuel's wrist and starts yanking it. "Can you hear me? Nut job, Mankey, can you hear me?" He lets go and falls backward. Stumbling, he catches himself on the bar. "Just go, will you?" "Not until they've read the will. When is it?" "It's tomorrow, but I'd be amazed if there's anything for you. All you've ever done is take from Mum, especially since Dad died. You only brought misery and pain to her door, not to mention nearly bankrupting the family. If there's anything left, I doubt you'll see any of it." "That's where you're wrong, dear sister. You know I was always Mum's favourite, firstborn and all that bollocks. She was falling over herself to give me money. She knew there was no point in giving it to Dr. Doolally here. He'd give it away to the people living in his head. Still hearing the voices, eh, Mankey?" He sneers and drunkenly laughs as he slaps his hand on the bar. "Barkeep, let's have some more drinks." Emmanuel stands and faces the appalling man. His brother is in his mid-50s, his face unshaven, hair unkempt. The suit he's wearing is stained and smells faintly of urine and spilt beer. He brings his hand down on the bar again. "Barkeep!" Emmanuel turns to leave. "Don't worry, Mankey, I'll be along later once I've seen the old bag off properly." Emmanuel stiffens again. His sister puts an arm around him and leads him to her car. A short drive later, they pull up outside the family home. "Emmanuel, I want you to promise me that you'll take your medicine. It's what Mum would have wanted. She hated to see you the way you get when you're not taking it. Remember what she said?" Emmanuel did remember. If she suspected him of not taking his medicine, she'd get the riding crop she kept from her youth and whip him with it until he'd taken all of his pills. He could feel the strokes as keenly as if she were still striking him now. "Will he take the house?" "I don't know. Mum never could see him for what he is. I hope not, Manny. Let's worry about that after they've read the will." "Look, Emmanuel, I have to go. The children are with a neighbour and I need to get back. It's at least an hour and a half's drive from here at this time of day, and I need to get going. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Don't let that bastard brother of ours into the house." He promises he won't, and that he'll take his medicine, and he waves his sister goodbye. He watches as her little car disappears around the corner. Emmanuel feels for his door key, unlocks the front door, and stands in the hallway. It's so quiet. Towards the end, his mother had been bedridden and hadn't made any noise at all to speak of, but it is still quieter without her in the house. He suddenly feels very tired. The headache is getting worse again. Maybe his pills will help. He goes upstairs, and on his way to his bedroom, he passes the half-open door to his mother's room. He hesitates on the threshold. He takes a few steps back and finds himself in his own room. Involuntarily, his hand goes to his head again. The pressure is getting worse. Opening his bedside drawer, he looks at his medication. 4 boxes of brightly coloured pills. He reaches in and picks up a packet. As he does so, he thinks he hears something just behind him. It sounds like someone clearing their throat. Then comes a whisper. "Don't." "Don't," he repeats. "Don't what?" He goes to the window and looks at the house on the other side of the street. A middle-aged woman lives there. Some nights he sees her through the window. She'd look up and wave at him, and she'd mouth words silently at him. They had a secret language. Sometimes she would say, "How are you today?" Sometimes she would tell him of things that were yet to happen, and sometimes she would try to warn him. She's there now. She has a young man with her. She often has young men with her. She looks up at the window and waves. "Who's that?" says the young man. "That's my crazy neighbour. He gets locked up every now and then. It pays to be nice to him. I don't want him murdering me in my bed now, do I?" She laughs, and the young man laughs too. Emmanuel can clearly see the message she's trying to send him. He watches their conversation carefully. She mouths the word murder. She's trying to warn him. His head throbs again. Murder. He sees it clear as day. Murder. He turns back to the bedside cabinet, replaces the pills, and snaps the door shut. Emmanuel walks downstairs and into the kitchen. He takes the largest knife from the block and makes his way to the sitting room. He goes to the chair by the window, his mother's chair. He sits in it and looks out onto the street. He holds the knife in his left hand. The serrated blade catches the light as he fidgets in his seat. He puts the radio on. They're playing something classical, he doesn't know what. The music ends. Emmanuel waits for instructions. The announcer speaks. "Emmanuel? Emmanuel? Are you listening?" "Yes, I'm listening. What am I to do? I'm told there's murder about. What should I do?" "Be prepared, Emmanuel." "I am. I have a knife." "Good, Emmanuel, good. They're here. They're in disguise. They could be anyone. You need to be prepared, Emmanuel." Emmanuel's headache rises. The pressure is building and building. His vision starts to fade. Starbursts of shimmering light jump before him. He feels as if his eyes might fall from his skull at any minute. "Be prepared, Emmanuel." The voice fades. The music resumes. Emmanuel closes his eyes for a moment and tries to catch his breath. He's brought back into the room by the sound of breaking glass coming from down the corridor. It's the sound of the kitchen door being smashed open. "Be prepared, Emmanuel." The warning rolls around the room. From the direction of the kitchen, coughing and swearing fills the air. "Be prepared, Emmanuel." He is prepared. He tightens his grip on the knife. He gets up from the chair and stands behind the living room door. What is making that noise? It doesn't sound human. From the other end of the corridor, a hellish, blasphemous fiend crashes through the back door. The creature is rank and emits stale, pungent fumes that catch in Emmanuel's throat. Murder, his neighbour had warned him. The beast is in the house. It's going to kill him. "Be prepared, Emmanuel. Be prepared to do whatever you have to do. It's you or it, Emmanuel." "Yes, I see it. It's me or it. It's here." His head is swirling. The creature stumbles into the front room, snorting and snarling. The spittle-flecked lump falls to the floor. Its back arches as it tries to get back on its feet. "Fucking hell. What the fuck do you think you're doing, manky little prick? Why isn't the back door open?" "It knows your name, Emmanuel. Kill it. Kill it now. Kill it before it kills you." Emmanuel raises his hand and brings the knife down on the back of the monster's neck with as much force as he can muster. He slashes at the hunched figure, stabbing with the serrated blade, slashing, cutting. Make sure, Emmanuel, make sure. That's it, his mother joins in. Kill it, kill it. He stabs again and again and again until all the strength has gone from him. He slumps down over the prone creature. Silently, a pool of blood seeps out from underneath the carcass, making Emmanuel's clothes sticky and wet. He takes his glasses off and is about to wipe his eyes when he sees the blood on his hand. He's holding a knife. It too is covered in blood. He drops it. Emmanuel gets to his feet. He looks at the slumped figure in front of him and the rapidly increasing puddle of blood that's soaking into the living room carpet. His mother will be furious with him. She loves that carpet. I can't let her see the carpet like that. Emmanuel decides to wrap the body in the rug. He'll put it in the old privy. It's just outside the back door. She never goes in there anymore, so it will be safe until he can clean up the mess. Crunching through broken glass, he drags the cadaver down the corridor and with effort wrestles the bundle into the outhouse. He looks back down the hall at the long red sticky smear. Mother mustn't see this. He opens the kitchen cupboard, gets the mop out and bucket and starts to clean. It takes him quite a bit longer than he's expecting, but he does manage to mop it all up. It's now very late. The radio has fallen silent. He listens to the static. There are no further messages today. He turns it off and goes upstairs. Pulling his mother's bedroom door to, he calls, "Good night, Mother." Going to his own room, he lies down on the bed. His head feels a bit better now, so he shuts his eyes and falls asleep. There's barely a pause before it's morning again. He wakes with a start as someone's hammering on the front door. Emmanuel feels for his glasses on the bedside table. Putting them on, he goes to the window and pulls the curtain to one side. It's his sister. He looks at his watch. 10 a.m. The woman over the road comes to her gate and calls to his sister, who turns, waves, and joins her on the other side of the street. He can see them. The neighbour keeps looking up at his window. She's trying to tell him something. He can't make out what it is, so he turns on the bedside radio for an update. He twiddles the dial until the static dissolves and the familiar voice starts to speak. "What are they doing, Emmanuel? They're talking about you. You know they are." He looks through the window again. "Are they crying?" "Crying," he says, feeling his head. It's starting to ache again. The heaviness is building again. So much tension. "Why are they crying, Emmanuel?" "I don't know." The women go inside the neighbour's house and pull the front door shut. "They're up to something, Emmanuel. Be prepared." His head is filling up. He can hear the blood squeezing through his veins, pounding in his ears. It throbs to the rhythm of the radio. "Your head is so very full, Emmanuel. Does it hurt?" "I bet it hurts. So much pressure." "I can help you, Emmanuel." "How can you help me?" "Go to the shed, Emmanuel." He clutches his head with both hands and turns from the window. Emmanuel makes his way downstairs and through the corridor. The broken window in the kitchen lets in gusts of morning air. Reaching the shed, he goes in. "Now, Emmanuel, take the drill." Emmanuel moves to the workbench and picks up the drill. "Now go back to the house, to the bathroom." Dutifully, Emmanuel heads upstairs, drill in hand. "Put the drill down, Emmanuel. I want you to get a biro from the drawer by your bed." He puts the drill on top of the cistern and goes to his room. Opening his bedside drawer, he pushes his medication to one side and fumbles for a pen. Finding it, he makes his way back to the bathroom. "Where does it hurt, Emmanuel?" He points to a spot above his left eye. "Mark it with the pen, Emmanuel." Standing in front of the mirror, he takes the pen and draws a blue dot on his forehead just above his left eye. "Now, Emmanuel, do you want to release the pressure? Think how good it would feel. Let all that pressure out. You wouldn't need the drugs then, would you?" He shakes his head. "Pick up the drill, Emmanuel." He hesitates. "Pick it up, Emmanuel," his mother tells him. "There's a good boy." Emmanuel picks the drill up and places the tip of the bit on the blue dot on his forehead. "I want you to turn it on. You must release the pressure." He squeezes the trigger. The drill starts to spin. The pain is almost unbearable. He relaxes his grip. What's the matter with you, you stupid boy? Do you want to get better, or would you prefer to go back to the funny farm? The voice taunts him, but the radio joins in. He's scared he won't do it. He's always been useless. I'm not scared, he shouts, as he tightly grips the handle of the drill and presses it hard into his scalp. The noise and vibration as it grinds its way through his skull is almost unbearable. His teeth bounce off each other and his vision dissolves, but he presses on. At least it stopped hurting now that he's well into his skull, as the stench of burning bone fills the bathroom. The drill is starting to run out of battery as the tip of the bit breaks through the remaining few millimetres of matter and touches his brain. An involuntary spasm in his right arm almost shoots the drill across the room. He falls to the floor. From downstairs, the banging on the front door resumes. There is an urgent, muffled discussion from the other side, and the voices quickly fade. A minute later, they're at the back door. "What the fuck has gone on here?" his sister asks the neighbour. They both look in horror at the river of blood that's coming from the outhouse. His sister reaches for the latch, lifts it, and the door swings open. An arm falls from a gap in the carpet, and the blood-spattered face of her brother blankly stares out at them. "Oh my God, what's he done?" His sister steadies herself and looks to the house. "I'm calling the police." The neighbour gets her phone out and dials 999. His sister takes a breath and gingerly enters the property. "Emmanuel? Emmanuel, are you there?" She can hear footsteps on the stairs. Yes, I'm here." "Emmanuel, what happened? Are you okay?" "I've never felt better, dear sister." She moves down the corridor towards him. Emmanuel stands at the foot of the stairs with his back to her. "What have you got in that hand? Is it a drill? Emmanuel, what's been going on?" "Nothing to worry about, sister. I was prepared." Emmanuel turns towards her. Blood pours from the drill hole in his forehead. Barely able to believe her eyes, she backs away from him, making for the door. Gripped by terror, she's unable to make a sound as she falls backward into the garden. Emmanuel is feeling fine. He can see a jet of steam escaping from the hole in his head. Bright lights dance in front of his eyes, and a chorus of voices call and sing his name. The pressure is relieved. "Nothing to worry about. I was prepared, and now I'm better." He stretches his arms wide and holds the drill aloft in triumph as the distant sirens grow louder.
Via Dolorosa is written, produced and is copyright Tony Hazel 2024. It is read by Nicholas Stellmacher. This recording is copyright 2 Kittens Publishing 2024.